Here at Veteran Trash Talk, we actually vet our sponsors. We don't just take their money and run like a butter bar lieutenant lost on the land nav course. Are you finally ready to plant your flag and claim your territory? Maybe it's time to use that VA loan to buy a home. Or hell, maybe you're looking to refinance and put some extra cash in your pocket for more questionable life decisions. Either way, the Veterans Mortgage Source, powered by Canopy Mortgage, has your six. Look, buying a home or refinancing can feel like getting overrun on a bad op. Chaotic, confusing, and full of obstacles that make no damn sense. That's where Corey and his team come in. They're like the QRF of home loans, ready to pull you out of the chaos and guide you to the best program for you. And trust me, they'll answer all your questions. Yeah, even the dumb ones. Whether you're a salty vet or fresh out of barracks still trying to figure out where your TA-50 went. Great service, solid rates, and a team that actually understands the military life. That's why all of us here at Veteran Trash Talk trust them to do right by every veteran and their family. Ready to lock it in? Give Corey a call or shoot him a text at 808-699-7874. That's 808-699-7874. Don't wait. Unless you like overpaying and getting treated like an FNG. The Veterans Mortgage Source is powered by Canopy Mortgage, LLC. All loans are subject to credit and property approval.
Hey, what's up, Trash Talkers? Listen, it's impossible to fight, okay, if you don't know what you're fighting for. Does that make sense? Like, if you're in the dumps and you're struggling with mental health, things of that nature, it's going to continue tearing you down, all right? Because you're consistently trying to fight something, which is that demon, which is usually something from the past, right? Maybe that why needs to be fighting for your future. Let that be your why. Get the hell up and start fighting for your future. Stop fighting things that happened in the past. Easier said than done, right? Go seek help. It's okay not to be okay. A lot of people need to hear this. You are more of a warrior and a fighter if you stand up and say, hey, this has to stop. I need to go seek help. The stigma, everything has changed. It's okay not to be okay.
And so my honesty cap is dedicated to a little, we'll call it a public service announcement for civilians and other people in the military. There are a few people that you should always take their stories with a grain of salt. Vegans, CrossFitters, and special operations guys that tell you that they were special operations without being prompted. The first thing they say is, yeah, I used to be soft. Right. The only unicorn in that entire group is like a special operations guy that was like a vegan and did CrossFit. That guy's probably going to stay quiet for a little bit longer because he's confused as what he should talk about first. And that's the only reason. Right. Anybody that says that they were soft without being prompted or without it being like a normal part of your communications is probably either an enabler or going to tell you a bunch of stuff that's not exactly true.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What's up, Gruntworks Nation? Big Earl. You heard Dave talk. You heard Buddy talk. Now, Buddy's all about, he is a Green Beret and he's Special Forces and yada, yada, yada. But he will not tell you that unless, he really, really likes you and he's made dinner for you. However, what Veteran Trash Talk does is we bring a lot of light to the veteran community, the first responder community. We promote that what we're doing well, all right, whether we're running for office, we started a business, nonprofit, all those things. Veteran Trash Talk is a super clean page. We got Gruntworks if you want to go there and raise a little hell a little bit, but we are here to promote veteran-owned businesses. So the show you are about to watch is a veteran or veterans or a spouse of a veteran or a child of a veteran that's doing great things in the community, and we need your help promoting them and getting them all all the success that they need. All right, guys, enjoy the show.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, and Buddy. Real warriors making fun of other real warriors. Try to not get triggered.
What's up, Trash Talkers? What is up, Gruntworks Nation? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 5 of the Trash Talk Hour. Special guest today is retired Sergeant Major Mark Riley with the Washington Tattoo. And joining me, as usual, our buddy and the Big Earl. Happy Saturday.
I got tattoos.
Yeah? Do you?
It's no big deal.
I got none.
Too many.
Zero.
Yeah, you got none. Yeah, you need a couple on your forehead.
My wife makes up for those, man.
Yeah.
Good.
So
I'm good.
Mine aren't.
How y'all doing today?
Tattoos. Doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Just got it's been busy, man. It's been busy.
It has.
Like I'm emotionally drained. Some of it in a good way, some of it in a bad way. Just everything that's going on. I got to watch a little bit of the Wisconsin-Alabama game today. I thought I was only going to be able to watch it for about 6 minutes, but hey, it was a 2-score game for almost an entire half. So I got to be entertained for a half.
Yeah, it just shows that there's a big difference between the SEC and other teams.
Except for the national champions last year.
Yeah.
The end of the year. You're talking about the end of the year.
Yeah.
What a huge deal. After the SEC, we beat each other up, and then finally some midget comes from the background and
see, I want to know what happened to Dave's brains, because even his mom logs on a different account on YouTube to help us out with the ratings, even though she's probably sitting right next to the guy watching it. So they 100%. Both are watching it
on their big screen TV.
They're intelligent people. What happened? What happened to you? Like, did you have an animal in your family? The hell?
I do.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't even pick a conspiracy this week. I figured I'd just open it up because there is a lot that went on this week. It is definitely emotionally draining going on Facebook and just everybody coming out of the woodworks with their opinions and stuff. I haven't really shared mine, and I don't know if I really will. But long story short, like, we had the assassination of Charlie Kirk, right? We had, obviously, Memorial 9/11. We had NASA supposedly announcing that they found life on Mars. We had the video that came out of that orb that was flying over Syria 2 months ago, and they shot a rocket at it, and it just kept flying.
We shot a Hellfire.
Shot a Hellfire missile at it. Chris probably has the video. We don't need to play that, but there's just a lot going on this week. So I really didn't pick any special conspiracy to talk about. I figured some of you guys would want to, maybe discuss the CK stuff or just leave it. So I'm kind of just opening it up for discussion. I'm guessing Buddy's honesty cap probably is tied into that. I had to just take a guess. So maybe we hold off on that.
Yeah, we'll let Buddy go last. We'll let Buddy go last.
Yeah.
That way it can go right into it. We can start with
Mark. Let's just talk about it. Why not just talk about it?
We can. I mean, it's just a lot going on.
I'm just saying, but we'll let you go last so that you can just get into it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We start with
there's the deal. I didn't really pick anything specific. You know what I'm saying? There's just a lot. I just think social media is just going crazy, and like there's just so much division right now. It makes me disgusted, right? I personally, I guess I will say a little bit to it. I personally don't align with some of Charlie Kirk's things. There's quite a few things I don't align with, but what happened is absolutely freaking disgusting. Like, absolutely disgusting. We talk about, like, I was big on the whole flag thing that we were just talking about weeks ago when it came to our First Amendment right and all that and the protests and everything. Like, this is even worse. Like, the guy got assassinated in front of his wife and kids, like in front of college kids. Like, I think this is probably the biggest fucking story that we've seen in years, right? Like, a lot of people are
comparing my lifetime. It's the biggest story of my lifetime as far as a political figure. Yeah.
Yep. And then the fact, like, social media Like my daughter came home from school and she had already seen the footage. So it's just like, there's a lot of emotions going on with that. It's just, I don't know where to go with it. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't matter whether you're left or right. I don't like the people that are jumping on right away and saying that it was this. And you and I had a discussion last night. We really don't know who the shooter was yet. There is no evidence yet, except the shell casings, right, that they found, and there was writing on them. But other than that, we don't know. But you got the left and right just jumping to conclusions like immediately and then just creating more division. It's just fucking disgusting. You got people on the left that are screaming they're happy that he was shot. You got people on the right saying we need a fucking execution publicly of the guy. Like, dude, where's like the human race in all of this? It disgusts me, man. It really angers me, dude. But that's just my take. I have a lot more to say on it, but I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the alien thing first.
Let's hit on that. Yeah, which one?
Yeah.
The life on Mars or
one, like life on Mars.
Yeah.
I mean, no, I don't believe it. Right? It's almost like it's close enough to the sun, like the Earth's a perfect distance from the sun for life. And Mars isn't too far off, so there's probably something like a little bit of ice, some ice caps,
Well, they found water on Mars years ago, didn't they?
You need water for ice, Dave.
Yep.
Right.
So they found water and they found bacteria. I'm pretty sure.
Like I said, I think it's close enough to where who knows? Maybe, like I said, play the alien game. Maybe they tried there and like, nope, screwed that up. That one. Like, wait, one more planet, right? Like. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then we figured it out. But what really has got me going is the MQ-9 video, which we didn't show, but you can look it up, to where we literally shot at a UAP.
Yeah.
And it just bounced off of it.
And that was mainstream news that showed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Chris will
he's going to play it.
There we go. Yeah. We need audio, Chris.
They don't need it. Look at that. Look at that. No, piss off, bro. I'm out. And again, we make movies to desensitize us to these things. That's what happened in Independence Day. The first time they tried a missile at the thing, nope.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't know. We didn't learn from the movies. I don't know. That's wild.
Well, what do you think it was? Do you think that's just China or even our technology?
Dude, that's alien, bro.
Straight up aliens.
Yeah. Not even close. No,
and then we do have 3AI. Real quick, Nick, we do have the whole 3AI Atlas that we spoke about like a month or two ago.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be only a week away now, and it's like supposedly there's like smoke coming out of it, and more scientists are coming out now saying it definitely doesn't resemble a meteor; it resembles something else. So, gotta watch that. That might be next week. Who knows?
I'm going to address Arnie's comment, who's talking to you, because we're a little bit delayed live. I'll address that in a second here with my little spiel. I made a mistake with my kids because they saw it live, and I got a little agitated too quickly, which is me. That's one of my problems. But my kid came home and was like, with a smile and kind of laughing about, did you know this Charlie Kirk guy? Mm-hmm. And she's like, I saw this video. And you don't think about it at first. When I'm like, why is this funny to her? But that was her coping with something traumatizing she just watched, right? Where it's like, my parents didn't have that problem with us. Like, I have to worry about, not until 95 when the screen started, coming in clear on the 33B channel on the box. But you normally didn't see that stuff like HD, right in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And it happens so fast that you don't even get a chance to explain the context or what's going on or what's happening. And again, I've said this in the Book of Earl before, where it's go back and apologize, go back and say sorry, which is what I had to say to them. I'm like, hey, I handled this wrong the first time. Let's chat about this. So that was something that, you see that, and it's just wild. It's just wild. And then the other thing with September 11th, and then the global war on terrorism, suicide prevention. It's a heavy day. It's a heavy day for Cliff, one of our buddies, who was in the Pentagon saving people's lives. in his uniforms in the 9/11 museum. And, we usually have him on the show on September 11th and, you talk about it, but he's doing great things in Europe right now. But I called a lot of people that I haven't talked to in a while, the past couple of days. And I even had to call my dad because, he was the only one that was alive the last time we had an assassin that I know, personally really well, that was alive during the last time we had a very significant political assassination. And I brought up things like, I hate when people compare history through the goggles of today. However, I compared it to when was the last time a young voting base or a large voting base was up for grabs, right? In the 60s, you had black people now able to vote. That voting base was up for grabs. Who's going to get it, right? The two most influential black people who were telling people to think for themselves, they got Clinton, bro. They were gone. So when I talked to my dad about that, I said, if there was social media back then, there probably would have been a lot of people happy about Malcolm X getting killed. There would have been a lot of people yeah, man, that's what he gets for saying all this nasty rhetoric.
Yeah, social media just brings the worst out in everybody.
Yeah, it's like a bigot.
Yeah.
And then that's what he gets for being a race baiter. You know what? There's no such thing as a race baiter really in the 60s. There was segregation and racism. It didn't have to bait anybody. It was there. And so regardless of say what you like him or think about, that's some heavy times. And then you have, the JFK, RFK, where you have young, moderate, leaders of a party that weren't like the old leaders of the party. And, they're gone. They went after mafia. They went after, they with RICO laws, all kinds of stuff. And again, going to what Aaron was addressing your comment about what didn't you like about him. That's a lot of stuff I got upset about on Facebook and had to, take a lot of people off because you see massive character flaws where I'll still be your friend. I'll still help you if you need me, but I don't need to have you talking about anything to me anymore on social media. You're showing your true character, big time. And what's frustrating is again, it's really hard to disagree with somebody who's debating. It's hard to say I disagree with Charlie Kirk. Now, you might not like the values and the institutions that he's developing his opinions on, but what he would talk about and what he would debate with young people, it's really, really hard to disagree with him. Like I said, but if you disagree with the values, values of why? No,
the values, but there are plenty of things, and I don't think, I don't think it'll be advantageous for anybody if we actually go into a full-blown discussion what is right, what is wrong, what he did. I think what people need to realize is just we need to come together as humans and understand that somebody was assassinated on live TV, and left, right, they all need to come together regardless I think that needs to be, because you're doing the same thing then on the right, not you necessarily, but people on the right are doing the same thing. Or it's just, how about somebody just got shot on live TV? And as a human race, we need to come together instead of saying, well, you shouldn't say that, or you shouldn't say that, or because dude, me personally, there's a lot of shit that I didn't align with. And there's a lot of shit that you can fact check him too when he debates with college kids. These are college kids who haven't been around in a long time,
I'll look forward. I'll look forward to that fact check, but it's
you and I can have an off the,
Yeah, like I said, I look forward to that fact check, but it's simply just like you said, you got some really smart people apologizing because they thought they fact checked them and they were wrong, because that's all going to come out
potentially.
But again, the young voting base was up for grabs because when you poll people. And I'm very in tune to politics, and there's a lot of people who were Googling who the Hortmans were in the last 2 days because that's what mainstream media told them to talk about, and they had no idea about it. I'm very in tune.
I was on the news when that happened.
Constantly. Yeah. And like I said, I always tell people on social media, keep your receipts, because if you start speaking up, I want to see what you said 6 months ago because you didn't say shit, right? But there's the young voting base was up for grabs because as you poll them, they were flip-flopping back and forth because they don't trust anybody in the government. They don't trust Republicans. They don't trust Democrats. And so there was a base that was up for grabs.
Mhm.
And that's, like I said, I had to call people who were alive the last time that happened. I was like, when was the last time a voting base was up for grabs? And who was the most influential person to that base? And there is no argument who is the most influential person to that generation in politics. And me, the establishment took him out, but that's just me. I don't know if Mark wants to get involved on this before we go to Buddy. But
Yeah, the conspiracies are nuts around this, and I'm not even going to go there because I don't, but holy shit.
Yeah. The only thing I have to say is I was down in Dallas at the Bush Presidential Center on 9/11, and I'm part of a program with the Presidential Scholars through the Bush Center. And being there in that space, there's wreckage from 9/11. There's pieces of the tower there. We were walking through the whole section where he was there for the 2001 World Series, and they had his jacket and the baseball that he threw at the Yankee game. And so the night before, we heard about Charlie Kirk. It was super heavy. Congressman Pat Murphy was one of our guest speakers, and he had wrote on his Substack an article about the weight of 9/11 and Charlie Kirk being murdered on that same time. And not that they were linked. He wasn't going down that route, but he was just talking about the gravity and weight of American society when it comes to Gen Xers, and then also what that means now for millennials and folks in the newest generation of voters. And so, I mean, there's a lot of weight that's going around. He was putting it towards service and trying to lean, on just a positive way to look towards how do we continue to serve, knowing that this challenge is amongst us. And with this being such a massively politically divided time, like, what do we do with those pieces of information to try to inspire people to do public service? So anyway, it was a tough time, but honestly, the UFO thing, not that was lighter, but it felt lighter, thank God, because those two things together were really tough. And so, my son and I watched The Martian with Mark Wahlberg not that long ago. And that was one of those things. I saw that thing about Mars. I was like, you know what? That's pretty cool. So not that I have an opinion on any of the super heavy topics, but other than, it's a tough time for people to figure out how are you going to serve buddies, and in what style are you going to do it?
Yeah, tough time for a lot of people. Brittany Powell says, I remember with Reagan and the interruption on TV. Yeah, I remember that too. I was real little. Failed assassination attempt. And I put that up against the establishment. I was like, dude, any president that's whispered that the Federal Reserve should go away has been shot. All right. So again, you could say it's just some lone crazy person. No, like, there's too many people that are in the same situation that get shot. Like, it's just, I don't know how many presidents that say get rid of the Federal Reserve and get shot do we have to say before it's not just some guy who doesn't like the president, right? Like, nah, boss. Like, and then maybe Reagan got the message because then he raised taxes and was like, all right,
I'm not touching that anymore. All right, the powers that be.
Yeah, cripes. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
there we go. We got you all warmed up for this, buddy. Let's go.
Yeah. So, who killed him doesn't matter as much as what he stood for and what was killed. So, it doesn't matter if the shooter was left, right, center. Doesn't matter. It matters that a person who spent the last 12, 13 years debating people on religion, conservative values, not killing babies in the womb. At the end of the day, debating. It not only was he just speaking about his opinion, but he gave people the opportunity to have a discourse with him and prove him wrong. And to have that guy get killed, we're at a point, we've spent a long time as Americans where, we were like, oh, well, we'll give people the benefit of the doubt and try to be very tolerant. This is this is probably the only we'll call them celebrity or political figure in my life, definitely, that's been assassinated. That things are black and white. It's not gray. He was killed for what he believed and what he was doing, and that is 100% wrong. People that celebrate it are 100% wrong. It's not gray, it's black and white. And I think that I don't know what's going to happen in the next month, 2 months, week. But we're definitely at a point in America where we are, you got to pick a side. You can't be in the middle and be the gray man. You have to pick a side and if fundamentally you believe is right. If you believe that it is right for somebody that you don't like that speaks their opinion and it's against you and they should be killed for it, then you're on one side. And if you believe the other way, you're on the other side. And I think that we've done a lot of outsourcing of letting police or the military or someone else, like, and it's not just the Charlie Kirk thing. It's the young lady that was killed on the bus in North Carolina. It's every week it's one thing after another after
We had
another.
a school shooting too, and I hate that I didn't even mention that, but we had a school shooting in Colorado, and sorry to the viewers, like that's pretty
where the guy
significant
was
too.
reloading his revolver like multiple times too.
Yeah,
Like,
and you see it, and the one thing that rings true is that there are people that could have either been in a position where they could have done something to stop it or help and didn't, because they were worried about the repercussions. And we're getting to the point now where we have to realize that you can't outsource it anymore. And as an American, you're going to have to speak up, and you're going to have to take an active role in preserving the freedom that we know and we have and we love. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're going to end up you're going to be on one side or the other, or you're going to be collateral damage. That's there are only three places that you're going to be, and you need to pick which side you're going to be on.
Spot on, buddy.
Are you talking which side? Are you talking like politically?
No, he's talking about
like,
whether it's right or wrong to be murdered for this.
100%.
You don't get to make a statement and then be like, "Oh, it's okay."
No, yeah, 1,000%.
1,000%. And like I said, you've got people that are they're going to make excuses for the shooter. They're going to make excuses for the environment that created.
Yeah, like I said, they'll victim mentality him.
We're done with excuses. We're done with the tolerance of bad behavior. We're done with the barbarism of stabbing somebody in the neck just because. We're done with
douchebag start crying in court when he got sentenced. Like, get out of here.
We're fighting. We're fighting on the train, and like I said, almost every day, if you look, there's something else. And I think that the silent majority has to stop being silent and start being not only vocal but active. If you see something, don't just say something, do something. On the spot corrections are a real thing. Stop making it a bad thing that somebody tells you that your behavior that is socially unacceptable. We've spent so much time putting blinders on to socially unacceptable actions that now that becomes the new standard. It's just like anything else in the military. If there's a standard,
what is that standard though? Then what is the socially obviously murdering somebody or just attacking somebody?
But it's not obviously murder.
Where do you draw the line?
Somebody got murdered and nobody did anything about it.
If there is
that was horrible. I agree.
If there's a standard for action, okay, talking in a theater.
Oh, buddy left. Buddy got kicked off. But what I wanted to talking in the theater.
I think I know where he was going at with that though. Talking in the theater while a movie's playing,
just don't fucking do it. And somebody's gonna say shush. Like shush, shut up. Because I paid $12 for this, but they won't.
That all goes back to manners though too, and your upbringing, and
Right. I shared that but I also wanted to bring up the Hortman thing because you can check my receipts. I commented about that when it happened, and that broke my heart too. You want to know why? Because if you're not from Minnesota, stop acting like you know what the hell the upper Midwest is like. All right,
that was political violence, wasn't it? Wasn't it?
Yes, 100% it was. Minnesota is a three-party state. You can win the gubernatorial race there with 34% of the vote. All right, Jesse Ventura got elected there, I think, with like 36% of the vote. right?
Jesse
Like
Ventura.
it's I'm serious. Like so,
I know.
it's a wild political state. Miss Hortman, Senator Hortman, state senator, she did an awesome American thing and voted to stop giving illegals health care. She was one of the 3 state Democrats to vote with Republicans. And she was Clinton'd for it. And the same thing, they tried to say, oh, it was this far right guy. And it turns out, no, it's dude, crazy people now are easier to find by people who want somebody 69, like that dead. I can pick that guy right now to go do something stupid for me if I want. Right. And whether he's successful or not. Okay. It's just like, and we talked about this on Facebook a little bit today is, the mental health crisis in America. And Charlie talked about this a lot too. And Charlie also talked about standing up and saying something if you're being wronged. What did you say? And I do a lot of these trainings that we'll talk about later with people. What did you get up and do about it? And like Buddy's saying, being tolerant, and what Charlie would say is empathetic toward it, didn't do you any good, did it? Because empathy leads to action. So you were sympathetic about it, right? Like, what did you do to stop that? Did you stand up for yourself? It's really hard to. When you're a victim. Okay, I agree. All right. Did your battle buddy stand up for you? All right. Did you tell anyone? All right. So it's like, and I get it. I get it. But if we want it to stop, and I think that's where Buddy's going to, you got to do something. You can't sit on the sideline and just let it happen. And I mean it gets me. It bothered me. And like I said, the Hortman thing bothered me too, because she did what she was supposed to do and voted for her people. She voted for her constituents. She didn't vote for her party. She didn't vote for what the federal party wanted. She voted for what Minnesota wanted. Right. And then she got killed for it. And then her husband got killed for it. And I think was it a babysitter or something? Somebody else got killed there too in the same house. Like, it's wild. It's freaking wild. And it opens up a whole nother thing, but it does get into the mental health crisis, which isn't a great segue into Mark, but a little bit. Yeah, a little bit of a segue, because I met Mark at AUSA, I think 3 years ago. Yeah. And I walked up to him. I was in the Troxel clan. All right, I walked up to him and I was like, I've heard of the Washington tattoo. I think I've listened to you guys. I'm like, hey man, we just, we're kind of new, Veteran Trash Talk. I was like, hey, we should co-op. And he was too big for us, or he big timed us. He was like, nah, we don't need to co-op with each other. And I was like, I get it. I just have to work a little bit harder. So I did, and I finally got Mark on the show. All right. And, we saw his resume, and he was a drummer. And I was like, I wonder what the promotion boards are like for a drummer. Like, do you go in there and they say, hey, you got 30 seconds of Def Leppard, because that dude could only do it with one arm. You got 2. All right. Show us what you got. All right. But no, Mark, welcome to the Trash Talk Hour. Let us know what I know what the Washington tattoo is, but let everybody know what it is. Tell us a little bit about your service. What got you into this? And then we can also get into some of the prevention stuff and mental health stuff as well. But what you got going on?
Well, sure. But let's stay on the drummer promotion thing for a minute. Have you ever seen the movie Drumline? It's just like that. You get into the regimental sergeant major's office and you just duke it out. The fastest rolls, the loudest visuals, whatever. Just kidding. No, I want to real quick before I hop in. Thanks, guys, for having me on. This is it's a privilege and an honor. Like, your following is incredible. You've got loyalty coming out your ears, and I think what you're talking about and the topics you bring up are incredibly meaningful, and they're relevant. And the way that you approach them allows listeners to actually dive into the guts of conversation and not feel like they have to make an opinion swayed upon someone else's perspective, but you give them something to chew on, and you argue both sides of, maybe way more than both sides, 50 sides of an argument. So kudos to you guys and what you're putting on Veteran Trash Talk. I think it's incredible. Second shout out, Patrick Brown is in the comments here. I see him. Patrick and I went to undergrad together down in Louisiana. So Captain Brown, good to check you out on this. Yeah, but my name is Mark Riley. I retired from the U.S. Army about 2 years ago. I was a drummer with the Old Guard Fife and Drum Corps, and so that's the official escort to the president. It's the same unit as the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, U.S. Army drill team, all the folks that are doing the amazing work in Arlington National Cemetery honoring our fallen. So the Fife and Drum Corps is one of 4 special bands in the U.S. Army. So you have the Pershing Zone, you have the West Point Band, you have the U.S. Army Field Band, and then you have the Fife and Drum Corps. And the Fife and Drum Corps is unique because it is an active company inside of the 4th Battalion, 3rd U.S. Infantry Regiment. So it's attached to an infantry regiment. You're doing all of the infantry battalion runs, all of those types of training. So you're heavily embedded with infantry folks, 11 Bravos every single day. And as a band guy, you've got to have tough enough skin to take all those band comments. But you know what? You're working together every day to try to make soldiers' lives better. So for me, it was a huge honor to be a part of that. And yeah, really a privilege to be on, but it's a little bit about my background. I don't know what kind of details you want to go into the White House side of things, if you want to go into the tattoo side of things, the mental health side of things, but that's just a little opening statement there.
Yeah, nice. And I would say, like, be honest, if you fell out of a run, you know, like is old Sergeant Major Rocky, like, is old Nick Rocky going, he's just a bugle player. Like, it's all right. Like,
you know, leadership culture is a real thing. So it all depends on what you want to see happen. You're right. When I fell out of a run, never happened. So when I had to lead people and I was the one picking up the fallouts, that was a very different thing, because then I had to report everything up the chain of command.
Yeah.
I'd like to get into the tattoo, but I'm sure that a lot of that stemmed from your service in Washington. But when it comes to mental health, when it comes to veterans, like when we first started Veteran Trash Talk, we had a very large Vietnam veteran following, and we didn't realize that. And we didn't realize why. And the same with the female veterans. We didn't get why. Like, why are there, like, what's going on here? But the pride, I served, like the honor, the legacy. Talk a little bit about what the tattoo does for that and how that equates to mental health for veterans.
No, I love it. And thanks for asking that. So during the first 15 years I was actively a drummer, doing performances, traveling as a representative, working with U.S. Army recruiting, all of that kind of stuff. The last 5 years I was in policy writing. And so we were in the middle of the bottom-up review, and we were looking at what is the secondary mission of Army music. And we started to build a white paper on how we could keep Army music closer to the warfighter. The further music gets away from the warfighter, the more they're going to keep chopping. And the DOD, or now the DOW, is now
Department of War.
I retired 3 years ago. Yeah.
So their priority is not the arts, right? So how does the arts supplement what the warfighter needs? And so that was something we really dove into. The unit would always go, the old guard was always at Walter Reed. We would always be working for, nurse graduations, wounded warrior, part retreats. We'd always go to San Antonio. We'd go to BAMC. We'd go to the Burn Center. And I mean, you're working and performing for kids that are 19 years old that are never going to live a normal day in their life again. And you saw the ROI of what music could do for well-being, mental health, and quality of life. And so packaging that in a way that was quantifiable, because it's a very quantitative or qualitative measurement, but you're taking an intangible and trying to create tangible value from music. And so that was something that was really hard to do when you're inside of a chain of command, because personalities get all in that mix. So the Washington tattoo really dove into putting together a military performance that honors our veterans. And so that's pretty easy, right? So you put together some music, you play the Army song, you play the Marines hymn, all that kind of stuff, and then people feel really proud. Well, that's great. How are we capturing that response, and how does that individual feel better because they went through that experience? And so what we started to do at the end of each event is we started just chatting with veterans, and they were coming up to our staff, and they were just telling these horrific stories. I mean, brutally honest stories of being ambushed in combat, getting hit by an IED, going to sing karaoke with their buddies. They came back, the buddy didn't. And so, like, you're getting into these very personal stories, and music was the tool for these people to open up about their service in a way that they were not able to do it in any other way. And so you have music therapy, you have art therapy, but there's a study that shares that 86% of veterans will not touch the word therapy. So the idea of using music as a therapeutic tool and building an event or an experience around music allows vets to come to it without feeling like there's stigma. There's all of the guilt behind, am I seeking therapy? Am I not? Am I good enough? Do I have imposter syndrome? Like, none of that matters when you're sitting in an audience and you're hearing great music and it's filling you with pride. So very long story short, we dove directly into the idea of music wellness as a modality to prevent suicide. And so when I look back on my own journey, weirdly enough, I've had suicides surrounding me from when I was a kid to when I was in service and even to when I'm now out. And I sat there thinking, if there is a way that we can help an uncle, a father, an aunt, a son, or a daughter stay in the fight using music, like, that's what I'm going to get up and do every day.
Yeah, very, very, very awesome.
I call music the universal language, you know, or the language of love, emotion. I mean, it's
like,
universally known. And it does spark emotion when you listen to music. It absolutely does, you know,
right.
100%. Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, Nick, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I know you're.
No, you're good. You're good. No, it feeds into what I'm saying because it's spot on what you said, what Dave said. But I remember this back in the 90s in college, and when they brought, remember when H2F, well, no, it was MRT, and we unrolled that so horribly, and hug sessions, and didn't make it for the warfighter, which is kind of what I'll get into my next question with you. But there's the eyes off factor, the performance factor, right? How do I get you into this zone where you are at your optimal performance? I remember in college in football where we had our lead trainer was PhD from Michigan, and he would take tape and look at somebody who started, not producing in the third quarter, right? And some of those guys, literally, he would go, "What music do you listen to before the game?" Mm-hmm. And they'd play it, and he'd put a blood pressure thing on them and a heart rate thing on them. This is before we had the sensor, so you actually had to press the button, and get it. And he's like, "Bro, you're at 1:30, 45 minutes before kickoff." And he's like, "That's a problem." And he's like, "You're burning too many calories and getting too much dopamine too early." So he's like, "Don't start that song until 15 minutes before you go out and do special teams. That's when you listen to that song."
Interesting.
Right? Because you love that song so much. And I'm like, it's nuts. And again, what Mark, now this goes into the guest, to Mark, is I got trigger warnings in 2000 when Trump first got elected in 2016. And they had the same kind of narrative where we're going to get rid of all this prevention training, this 350 training, stupid, and yada, yada, yada. And I was a first sergeant at the time. And I go to my commander, I'm like, "Hey, look, what they're reacting to is, the counterterrorism training. That's stupid. All right. The SEER training that my E3 has to do online, right? He just needs to upload his photo and have a safe word. He does not have to go through a 6-hour class on how to evade capture. Stop, right? He's an E3 homeboy. He ain't going to be in no Delta Force mission. Knock it off, right? That's the kind of stuff that we need to get rid of. I go, do not put your name on a piece of paper that says we're not going to do suicide prevention training. Don't sign that. Don't assume that risk. And so I got a little nervous with that because you hear the same rhetoric again. We're going to get rid of this this useless training. Because why? We can't quantify it. All right. The face-to-face interactions with soldiers when you talk to them it's qualitative, right? There is, again, it's suicide prevention training. This is what the people at DPRR would say, right? "Oh, well, it's got to be data driven." Bro, show me the data. What you're doing right now is working. Mm-hmm. You can't do it.
That's kind of hard to, yeah.
Right. And then you have to wait. You have to wait till the end of the year to be like, did we win or not? Hey, 2 less suicides, we won. Or 15 more than last year, we lost. That's the only real data they got. right? And I talk about this constantly in my training is why aren't we making it a warrior skill? Why aren't we training it as a battle drill? And why are we hiring
100%.
civilians to do it? We don't bring civilians in to run our battle drill 6. We teach our staff sergeants how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then the staff sergeants go train the Joes how to do it. Why aren't we doing that? Why are we not doing that? Why are we not putting people through really, really hard, stressful situations? Right? And again, we modernize training so that we can get people through training. Right? If we didn't have to, if we could get everybody through training, we wouldn't have to modernize. Why aren't we doing that with suicide prevention? But yeah, that being said, you brought up that interesting point about qualitative and quantitative data, and a lot of people don't understand that. So that hits me. Like when a soldier, like the Army song, we kind of laughed every time it came out when we were active duty, because why? We got to stand up and sing it. And it's
we were in the infantry. Nobody really knew the words either. Well, we could just the hook. We knew the hook. That's
right. But
homie behind you is totally tone deaf.
Yeah,
screaming.
Yeah. But the most important thing as a young E5, E6 is it's keeping me away from happy hour. Like as soon as why are we singing this song? I need to go to class 6, get my 30 rack, go get the beer pong table out so I can dust Dave's ass. Like this is what's stopping me, right? But hey, Mark, that's my question. Like when I hear the Army song now, my heart rate goes up.
Yep.
I get like in a good way. Like it's like hell yeah, right? And again, I'll do my tone deaf singing. Yeah. I'll start singing a little bit, right? So. Yeah. Are there
especially once you're retired? Like I've been to so many events now with I'm still very engaged with the Phoenix Recruiting Battalion out here and everything. And then there's events and they're singing it, and I'm just like, hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah. Definitely shout out to Monica. Shout out to Monica, the new commander of the Hollywood Legion Post. What's up, Monica? How you doing? Talk about that. Are there the experiences that you've seen? Because I always say that if you want to fix veteran suicide to a certain extent, you should train them when they're not veterans yet.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
Like throwing a bunch of money at veterans, sure, but throw more money at them before they're veterans.
Right.
But you don't have to throw more money. Just train them to, like what Buddy was talking about, is do something. All right, this is where you say something. This is where you go do something now. Just like when somebody shoots at you, this is when you do something. All right. Like we do something here now, right? But talk about that experience with the tattoo of like when you see that change, when you see that smile, like what?
Sure.
Talk about that.
Well, just to clarify too. So we started out as an arts and entertainment nonprofit. That was our goal. And when this suicide prevention idea came around, we were like, do we really do this? Because if we're going to do it, you can't just kind of do it. It's like you're going to do it or you're not going to do it. So we decided to dive in, and I'll share a personal story later as we close out. But you're talking lead and lag metrics, right? And so suicide prevention, unfortunately, is constantly led by a lag. It's a lag metric. How many happened this year? And so when you're talking about catching people upstream before they even decide to go into the water of possible, suicidal ideation, you can boil it down to basically the concept of connectedness. Right? If someone feels connected, they're not going to feel isolated. So if you're even talking about food insecurity, you're talking about employment, you're talking about housing, you're talking about all of the things, opioid addiction, all of those things, if you're connected with the right group of people at the right time when those challenges come up in your life, you're going to feel a way out. Like you're not going to feel completely isolated and lost. So we have now built actually a cohort and workshops that surround cultural identity and music, but it's rooted in neuroscience. So we've now partnered with Syracuse University, Institute for Veteran and Military Families, George Mason University, Association of the U.S. Army, and now also the Bush Center is really helping us out to crystallize what are we measuring and how are we measuring effectiveness using music and cultural heritage as a tool to instill pride and identity. How do we reclaim purpose? And then how do we build community? And really the people that you're surrounded by, a lot of folks say that you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with, right? So if you're in a place of just constant tornado and you're going down, look around, look who you're surrounded by. And so if you're in a position where you feel like you need to be uplifted, a lot of people will go to a country concert. They'll go see hip hop. They'll go to check out and unplug from the matrix by using music as the tool. But when they go back in, are they any better than they were left off? And so when we talk about music therapy and these therapy programs, they're phenomenal and they have their place. But when you're done with that official program, then what? So we're building an ecosystem of year-round events through the Washington Tattoo that specifically target veteran identity, veteran purpose, and veteran community so that you can plug in through around the year through a virtual event, an in-person event, and then curriculum that can get you connected with guitar players, drummers, singers, if you just want to go through lyrics because certain songs resonate differently with you. And so honestly, we're building partnerships that do a lot of things that we don't do. And so as we open up the aperture for veterans to come in and experience music, we're not going to be the subject matter experts on every little genre of it, but we're able to then hand folks over to partners like Guitars for Vets or Creative Vets or Exit 12 and these other arts nonprofits that do guitar, lyrics, dance, movement, songwriting. Like that's an amazing place to be because you're seeing that individual change because of the power of the arts and music.
I love
Dave
that.
used to be a rapper.
I heard, Dave, you're a musician.
Yeah, I had a little.
He was #1 rapper in Germany. Him and
I was not the #1 rapper in Germany, but they always bring this up. But yeah, when I was like 16, 17, I had a record deal over there and rapped for about 2 years, and we were touring, and yeah, it was pretty cool. And then we screwed it all up. But yeah, we had autograph cards, posters. We had a CD that was out. Like,
I love it.
It was a good time. It was a good time.
I love it.
I got to when I served with Dave in Vietnam, I got to meet J. Cole and his what was it, his rep or whatever, his agent.
You met a manager that was part of TI. Yeah,
okay, something like that. I didn't know. I knew it was one of them.
Not J. Cole. J. Cole was definitely from Fable, but we never had any connection.
Oh, so yeah, it was TI. Yeah, so
yeah,
it was like
TI. Yeah.
Pretty much. That's
when I did that mixtape in Fayetteville. Yeah.
Those
days are long over, but
yeah, that was
music,
his.
I love music.
His hook was DDT. So that was DDT.
We just went to he was talking about rap. We just went to the Kendrick concert not too long ago. Nick and I did.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
Took the girls there. Yeah.
And everybody at the concert is just happy, dude. Everybody's in the zone.
Yeah.
There's
no
no differences, race, religion,
yeah.
whatever. Like everybody is just, like at sporting events though too. It's just one of those things that brings everybody together, man.
Sporting events can get a little choppy. But
that is true. They do argue then about which team. And yeah, you're right. Music, everybody's listening to the artist, so they're focused on one thing. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
But
I love this. This is awesome. So where can people look more into you or contribute to the cause, or are you guys taking donations? What does all that look like?
Yeah, no, great question. So we are doing quarterly cohorts, and so that is a curriculum based on what's called rudiments to recovery. So rudiments are the basics of drumming. So we teach basic rhythm, meditative breathing, song deconstruction. Because if you think about neural pathways and how your brain processes music, you can have music going on in the background and you're not really paying attention to it, but you know it's there. And then all of a sudden you hear a rhythm. You're like, oh, I like that beat. Oh, wait, there's a chord change. And you start to think through the sound of music. Your brain fires differently. When you start to sing along to lyrics, your brain changes completely. So you start putting memories of times gone by, or this lyric means this thing. And so your brain has different ways of processing music. And so we deconstruct that through a curriculum using rhythm, lyric deconstruction, meditative breathing, and then peer-to-peer storytelling. And it gets very deep, very quick with a lot of folks just sharing their veteran story of, honestly, tragedy, to be frank. Wow. And then we use music and we actually have homework in there to build a life playlist based on 7 emotions. So we talk about celebration, remembrance, focus, chill. Like, what are the songs that you think of to put yourself in these emotional regulated states? And we try to teach how do you emotionally regulate. So every quarter we have a new cohort. You could sponsor a veteran for $100. You could do a cohort for $500. If you want to do an annual give, it's around $1,500. So we do that, and they get a wellness kit to get like free drumsticks.
Hey, guy, donate some money. Yeah, sorry, he's watching.
but you get, drumsticks, drum pad, free tickets to the show, and then you become a veteran music ambassador. It's part of our alumni program that we just stood up. And so some of those alumni that we've had, we are able to take them to some of these other international tattoos. So other international tattoos exist in Edinburgh, Scotland, Basel, Switzerland, and these big giant music events. And we take folks with us. So the last 4 years, it's behind the scenes at the Edinburgh Castle. You're getting to listen to 300 bagpipers, warm up in this like ancient castle.
Wow.
So that's that identity piece. It's if you wore the uniform, you're a part of a much bigger story. And so when we bring folks into the history of music, the history of military music, people nerd out. People nerd out all the time. So that's a way that we get people involved. If the people want to volunteer, they can look up www.thewashingtontattoo.com. We are on all the major social medias, so Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, X, YouTube. And so if folks want to get involved, we'd love to have you. We have a newsletter that comes out. We don't spam anybody. If it's coming out, it's legit information. We also partner with a lot of great whiskey companies, and we do rooftop whiskey tasting events in DC. So we have one coming up. It's been phenomenal. We have one on Pennsylvania Avenue coming up. Look at you right there, the 10th Mountain. Love it. So yeah, anyone who wants to partner with us, we're doing some incredible work. We officially became an America 250 program partner. So we're recognized by Congress to be part of the official America 250 celebration next year. So, we're looking for folks that want to be a part of that amazing celebration. But the underpinning of everything, if you look at it, we're doing great events, bringing folks in, but the philanthropy is all veteran mental health around music.
Yeah, normally I call out people for using school words because on Veteran Trash Talk, you have to be able to spell the words that you say.
Yeah.
But seeing as you're a band nerd, I'm not going to call you out. I'm pretty sure you.
We got a lot of Marines here too, so that but we have our authors on. We're like, there's no pictures in the book. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, you can't come on. You can't come on.
Just lost all the Marines that are watching.
Yeah. I in the spirit of rap, you quote some Eminem and come back to reality, right? Let me know this because I've said this to my kids, and I used to say this actually to some younger soldiers when I would hear a comment like, "Oh, this is my jam." I'd be like, "Why is this your jam?" Because again, I'm also trying to get to know my soldiers. I'm like, "Why is this your jam?" And they say, "Well, that's because this is me," and I'm like, "Is it though? Like, is it you?"
Yep.
With that therapy. And they listen to that beat, they start singing words, they start saying the words, and you're seeing that emotional shift. Is there a point where in that homework, is that in the therapy where it's like, hey, now come back to reality. What is your actual reality?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so we have behavioral health.
So sometimes, yeah.
And quite honestly, like triggering events do happen. Like people will go down a rabbit hole and something comes up and they're not in a good spot. And so that's where having a behavioral health specialist in the mix is like a necessary thing we have to do. So in that workflow, that's where a lot of this really good research is coming in. And Syracuse University has been really, really powerful to say, what are we measuring and how are we measuring it? And that imposter syndrome exists everywhere. And I'm like,
you had it earlier in the show. So, but it's all right. I didn't want to call you out, but yeah, keep going. Yeah.
Well, no, I live it. Like I live it every day. And I even was the kid, like my parents grew up in the Bronx. Like they were New York City kids. They moved out of the city when I was born to get me out of the city. I would spend summers with my grandparents, in the Bronx in Castle Hill. And I wanted to be the kid from the Bronx, but I wasn't. And so I had to reconcile that. I was in an infantry unit, but I was a band guy. So I wasn't so it's like, you're this, but you're this, but you're this, but you're this. But in reality, everyone's kind of like that, right? It's like, we all want to be something and we're all aspiring to be something. And we hope that it's that fake it till you make it thing. But at some point, you're going to have to figure out what is your skill set that you're actually good at. What do you want it to be? How do you want it to be better? And how are you trying to attempt to chip away at making it better? Because it's not going to magically happen. So when somebody in the cohort I want to be a singer and they're horrible, right? That's often because most people think they hear themselves and like, oh, I can do it. And you're like, maybe not. So at that point, you start to unpack what is it about singing that makes you inspired to sing, right? And you're starting with the hope and inspiration, and you want to uplift people more than tear people down, right?
Of
So it's
course.
nothing worse than saying, hey, I'm going to use music as a vehicle for bad. And that's one of the that's one of the things that makes me upset, is when people are using music and they're tearing people down. It's tough, but it's reality. So long story short, when you're unpacking that and you're looking at someone who is potentially not strong in music, you're trying to get them to understand being around music and experiencing it for fun and enjoying it does not necessarily mean you need to be great. You can just be there and you can be a consumer of the music and enjoy it just as much.
I love all this. Yeah, I would like to, and we can talk after the show how we can like tie in and support somehow, or I want to follow this. Yeah, this is really good stuff.
Right. Explain the tattoo. Explain the name.
Yeah, like
Yeah. So tattoo is an actual call, a bugle call or a drummer call that would have been played at the end of the evening. So if you have reveille, church call, mess call, if you have any of your West Point folks that are out there, the Hellcats play everything. They are the soldiers' watch at West Point. So you're hearing calls for all the cadets to move here, here, and here. During the 17 and 1800s, soldiers were not rich enough to own their own watches. So if you look, that NCOs and commanders had some type of timekeeping device, but the drummer, the bagpiper, the fifer, or the bugler was the sound of the commander on the battlefield and in the camp. So tattoo was the final call of the evening around the camp to tell the tavern keepers to turn off their beer taps and send the soldiers.
Also, it's like the last call. It's like the last call.
It's the last call for alcohol was tattoo. And so fast forward, it turns into the term tattoo, and that now is an evening event. So it's an evening music event that takes place. And the largest one is in Edinburgh, Scotland. So they have the Royal Edinburgh Military Tattoo in front of the Edinburgh Castle for 26 nights in August. There's 10,000 people that come to each show. So there's roughly 250,000 people that come to see this event every year. But yeah, that's the history of the term tattoo. And if you've ever been to the Tomb of the Unknowns or you've been to a military funeral and you've heard taps is a very shortened, condensed version of the old tattoo call.
Interesting. I learned something new
That's
today.
what's up.
Yeah.
I did want to give a shout out to Monica for doing our producer's job and putting your website in the chat. Appreciate that. Now, if the producer wants to do it, it'll go to all the channels we're streaming on, which another big shout out to MBR Radio, Military Broadcast Radio. They share us on Twitter, and it boosts our ratings up massively. So appreciate doing that. Have you ever heard of, have you ever talked to Eric Wan with Wave and Neuroscience?
I have not. I would be an amazing person to talk to.
He was one of our first guests like 4 years ago, or even 5 years ago.
He was like, was he our first or second? Yeah.
He was like, our first guest was an F-22 pilot or F-35 pilot where we blamed him for all the crashes and why the program has been delayed. It was all that one pilot's fault. That's how we started. But no, he's a NASA. He was a naval aviator.
I thought he was Navy SEAL, wasn't he?
No, naval aviator. The Navy SEAL you're talking about is the one that was also turned into an astronaut, but then Eric also was in space as well. So real smart guy, and he uses magnets and stuff like that here, and he's out here in California. But I can get you guys connected for sure. I know he'd be awesome. He'd be happy to talk that. Other than that, what else you got going on? What I know you got your hands in some other stuff. What else you got going on you want to give a shout out to?
No, absolutely. So shout out to the George Washington chapter of AUSA, Association of the U.S. Army. We are diving into some really unique ways to bring community partners together for mental health. So we thought it was really interesting that the Army had put together the H2F model. And we thought that holistic health concept is also very helpful for veterans, right? So what is the structure? The VA has a whole health model. Other folks have other models. So AUSA, the George Washington chapter, did a really cool event this past April at the U.S. Army Museum. And we brought in partners and, are trying to grow that out. And Nick, you were there. That was the initial one that we had put together. And so, we had the director from the U.S. Army National Guard there. It was really incredible. So General Stubbs was there. that's a lot of fun to bring folks into an experience where they're going to get to rub elbows with high Army brass, and then just be able to talk to them, get a moment where they can be kind of candid about what they think and what they feel and how they can help. So that's one effort. The other effort that's been a lot of fun is getting into the cultural identity of Scotland and the America 250 launch. So we partner with the UK Embassy quite a bit. And so we've done a launch with them. So the Scottish government in the United States has been helping out the Washington Tattoo dive into early American immigrants and looked at what is the percentage of Scots and Scots Irish that actually fought with George or for George Washington and the Continental Army. And so from a historical and military history perspective, you had the Jacobite uprising, 1740s-ish. A lot of those folks were taken prisoner. A lot were shipped off into Northern Ireland to became Scots-Irish. They got all shipped off to North Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, and they all ended up in Appalachia. So when you start to get into like the history of like country music, the history of bluegrass and all of those American styles of music from 18 and early 1900s, you can start to dive into a lot of traditional Scottish music, but it's very, very connected to early American military history, directly into like Valley Forge and all of the Lexington and Concord and all of that. So we're connecting music, culture, early American history. And when you start to peel that onion back, you can look into other nations of the Spanish helped support a lot of the American Revolution. The Dutch helped support the American Revolution, of course, the French. And so when you start looking at people's backgrounds, there were a lot of really unique ways that music, history, and service all kind of come together.
Yeah, I'm going to nerd out with you for a little bit on that. Have you ever been to the port in Pensacola, the Fort Barnabas?
No.
So they do a lot of LPDs there for defensive positioning, like how to set up a defense and an engagement area development. And it was controlled by the Union the entire Civil War in Florida.
Interesting.
Because of how good it was built and the defense there. The only person to almost sack it was General Bragg, right? But the reason he didn't is because he had a bunch of Scottish people from the mountains that he was in command of, and he didn't allow them to drink. So, because Bragg was a strict disciplinarian, which is like why, the 82nd took pride in being, Fort Bragg is, we're in formation, our chests are out, our uniforms are always sharp. That was because of how much of a disciplinarian he was. So when they were able to cut off the supply line to the base, one of the ships was carrying molasses. The Scottish regiment took all the molasses and just left and didn't finish the battle so that they could go make whiskey with it. Because they weren't allowed to drink. And that's literally a true story. Like General Bragg's like watching, like, what are they doing? Like they didn't continue the fight because they were like, oh shit, we got molasses. We can make whiskey with this. So yeah, I had to nerd out with you on that one a little bit.
No, it's cool. Malik even put in there too about the history of hillbillies is really interesting because it's all about William of Orange, and basically hillbillies basically meant the Scottish immigrants that had come over and were living in Appalachia inside the mountains. It's very, very cool.
Wow. What's good?
Yeah, I had
a fun.
Go ahead, Dave. Go ahead.
No. I'm just listening, brother.
Yeah, and I'm not going to bring any of that stuff we talked about back up. Just the reminder that, if you try to, and I put this on Facebook, if you try to like virtue single right now, don't in this time, because it was a very heavy day for not just that part of it. There were a lot of bad things that happened in history on the day after that, and a lot of things that were weighing heavy on people. And like I said, I called some people that I hadn't talked to in a while, and just for that mental health aspect of it, I really, really liked being at that H2F symposium for the Washington chapter, because I will brag about myself a little bit. I've been known to do that. Dave knows. I will toot my own horn. I actually ghost wrote some papers at the Sergeant Major's Academy for at the time Brigadier General Eifler, which I didn't know I was writing those for him. I was reached out to by a couple of other human performance people to like hey, talk about what you did in Hawaii with H2F, how you like not with H2F with MRT, and how you didn't call it MRT, you called it something else, and how you were utilizing it to, and then we've had them, a few of them performance people on the show. Shout out to Karen, a big, awesome person. And part of what I wrote got read in front of the HASC. And I didn't know that. And all of a sudden I started getting contacted by some companies that were like, hey, did you write this? And I was like, I guess I did. I thought it was anonymous, but it wasn't. And it was talking about, like you talk about, getting ahead of things. We do a very, very poor job when it comes to physical injury. We do a really great job at reacting to an injury. What are we doing to prevent the injury from happening in the first place? Right? What are we doing to measure
PRT now, right? That's what PRT and again, all the stuff that they
dude, I got so mad at like my squad leaders when PRT came out and they didn't want to do it. I'm like, you do realize that this is what like colleges do. This is what NFL teams do. That you don't like doing a little leg raise, in cadence because it's stupid, right? But you're strengthening that 18-year-old kid's hip flexors so that when he puts a 45-pound ruck on, all right, it doesn't blow out a year later, right? And then but measuring somebody, that's what you were talking about earlier. How do we measure somebody? How do we get a measurement on who is this person, right? And I go back to what I talked about with training, suicide prevention, SHARP, what any type of prevention. What are we equipping our soldiers with to combat it, to fight it as a battle drill, to prevent it? Like, how do I bring up the conversation in a counseling session as an E5 to where this has, like, I'm just counseling you on your performance. All right, but maybe I give you something to say to them to find out if there is something wrong. Right? And why are we not empowering the people to ask that question monthly? Not, are you going to kill yourself? But like finding deeper root things about the person, about, okay, we need to watch this person. I don't think
genuinely, I mean, technically that's what a good leader is supposed to do nonstop, right? Like you should know but yeah.
When I do my training,
I feel like some people have those traits, like you always come in like as a first sergeant, I remember like, how are you doing? I'm good. Like, what does I'm good mean? Like, take the time out of your day to actually ask.
But that took 17 years of you. That took 17 years of life experience.
I did it as a platoon sergeant though too. I mean, I always cared about you, Nick. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you did the same for your soldiers, and that's, I think, so it should be in a leadership manual. I think, like, it should be written maybe because people do need that. They need to be told.
But you have to train people on how to. You have to train people how to do it. And what you're bringing up, Dave, is what I talk about when I do my trainings. I'm going to go to Fort Sill next week and train for a week on suicide prevention. And they're one of the worst bases right now. Patrick's got to go. But right now they're having a tough time, and they haven't even hit the hard months yet. And I'm gonna go there. Yeah, I'm gonna go there and talk to them. And I say this. I go, I was pretty lucky in the Army. I got into a community, a brotherhood, a leadership community that was really solid. So therefore, when I counseled somebody, I counseled the right way because I was counseled the right way. Mm-hmm. Right? We did PT the right way because I did PT. I was taught how to do PT the right way. Yeah. And then as you go out into the Army and see other things, I'm like, where the fuck did you grow up? Like, who taught you that? Like, what is that? So again, we have the luxury where we can't fall into that false sense of security that it goes without saying.
No, I know.
It doesn't.
You're right.
It goes.
And it's also emotional. It's also emotional intelligence. Like
it's hard.
I was going to say earlier, when it comes to like, you have to teach people to say these certain things. When to some of us, it just came natural, right? Like I feel like I was a natural leader, and then obviously the Army taught me, leadership and all that stuff, the additional things. But like then
knowledge is different than
intelligence to be able to realize.
Yeah.
It's just, dude. Yeah. But we could go on hours about all that.
We could, but I don't want to eat up too much more of Mark's time.
Yeah.
Really do love that you came on. Really like what you do with the Washington tattoo, with the George Washington AUSA chapter. Before, I think, was I supposed to give the AAR? I was. Yeah. We talked a little bit. We talked a little bit about of everything that happened in the last week. A lot going on, but the main point of all that is call your battle buddies. Like we say all the other time, but this week's a pretty big week. It's a pretty heavy week. Call your battle buddies. You know, if the name pops across your head, reach out to them. As Buddy always says, the universe is connected. If you think about somebody, give them a call. And you know, it's always a good time to learn. And I always look at it that way. I never hate getting proven wrong, and I just, you know, you learn from it. And then we had Buddy's honesty cap, which got cut short. Which, by the way, he'll probably watch this. That was the longest I've ever seen somebody load golf clubs into a car when he was talking. You guys might want to work on that. That was ridiculous. Took too long. It's really simple, guys. Like, you got, don't know what that was all about. Maybe too many tequila frescas or whatever they were drinking on the course. So good luck at Bristol. But Buddy was given his honesty cap where he said, you'd be the first one. I think we know where he's going. You'd be the first one to step up and say, shut up in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Why don't you have that courage to stop somebody from saying or doing something stupid, right? And then again, it doesn't go without saying, if somebody's displaying signs of emotional, mental distress, do something, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't matter if you feel bad for them as a victim. Talk to them, and if you have to do something for them in a good way, do it. And then we had Mark. You know, Mark did drumline to get promoted to staff sergeant, and went in there and out-drummed the first sergeant to get promoted. We covered that. And that's pretty much all you have to do. You know, awesome things, and bringing military traditions and customs, and then using music to, you know, bring everybody together. Also identify, you know, all kinds of, you know, mental strengths, mental traumas, and, you know, find yourself through music. And I think we all can relate to that, even if we don't like it a lot. We can all relate to it. There's always a song that gets you moving somehow, whether you like it or not. Mine's a Brick House. That old funk song. I don't care. I lose my shit when that song goes off. And then
Mine's like probably a DMX song.
Yeah.
Joe and I used to listen to that in Samara every time before leaving the wire before mission.
I mean, anytime you start a song off growling, you know, it's like this is gonna drop. So, but all right, we'll give Mark the last word, and Dave, close us out.
Yeah, no, thank you guys so much for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. My drum instructor when I was very young said, look, whatever I'm showing you, whatever I'm teaching you, it's not yours to keep. It's only yours to give. So I feel like everything that I've been able to experience in my career, I'm a steward of it, and it's not mine to keep. It's only mine to give. So I have been very blessed to have a wonderful career, and it's just my time to give back. So thank you guys for allowing me to have a platform to help and share and give back to our community.
Love
Awesome,
what you're
Mark.
doing,
Thanks.
Mark, and stay on. So the outro will play, and then we can talk afterwards. But thanks again for coming on. I want to look more into this and get more informed, because I really love what you're doing, and our brothers and sisters definitely need it. For everybody that tuned in late, go to VeteranTrashTalk.com. That is our website, which has the links to everything. Go to shop.VeteranTrashTalk.com, and you can buy our merch. Nick is wearing our Just a Tip, and I'm wearing one of my favorite, and I think it's very for the situation and everything that's going on. We are all stronger than hate, right? So go check it out, shop.VeteranTrashTalk.com. Go on YouTube, give us a subscribe and a like, and then follow us on all of our, you know, pages and whatsoever. And we'll catch you guys next Saturday. Faceman VTT out. Boom.